This episode is sponsored by Kindred Bravely. Kindred Bravely came to life in 2015 by Deanne Akerson, a mom of two, when she couldn't find any comfortable and functional pajamas while nursing her second son. So she decided to design her own line. As moms, we have to stick together, which is where Kindred comes from. And Bravely, well, we all know being a mom can be tough. It is not for the faint of heart. It takes courage and bravery to be a mom. And at Kindred Bravely, they are devoted to making life easier for pregnant and nursing moms, from breast pads and non-skid socks to nursing bras and pajamas. And I might not be pregnant or nursing, but I can advocate completely for how comfortable their clothing is. I wear the cardigan almost every single day, certainly around the house. And I gifted my sister some leggings. She is pregnant with her third child, and she is absolutely over the moon for them. She wants me to get her some more. So you can get your own and save while you do by using my code UNSTRESS20 to save 20% off your purchase at kindredbravely.com. You are listening to the Motherhood Unstressed podcast, and I'm your host, Liz Carlisle. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am so glad that you're here, and I'm excited to share the work of my two guests with you this week. No doubt you already know who they are. I'm speaking with Kat and Nat, also known as Catherine BELKNAP and NATALIE TELFER, and we're discussing their new book, Mom Secrets, which is the follow-up to their nationally best-selling book, Mom Truths. That book and this conversation is going deep into big topics like guilt, balancing career with motherhood, and body image. Now, Mom Secrets covers confessions that most moms don't talk about, and in doing so, gives all of us, myself included, the room to breathe and actually enjoy this crazy journey of motherhood. And I think that's what it really boils down to, right? Like, we're all doing the best that we can. We all probably need to be a little more gentle on ourselves about the job that we're doing as mothers. And when we do that, we can actually be present and be there with our kids and enjoy the time, because as we all know, it's so fleeting. So that's really my purpose and my goal behind the show, as you know, if you're a frequent listener. And I hope that you glean that out of this conversation. And I hope by the end of it, you feel a little bit lighter and a little bit happier with your role as a mom and the job that you're doing. And isn't that the point? You know, we're here to enjoy it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode with Kat and Nat. And if you would like a chance to win a copy of their book, just leave a review for the podcast, screenshot it, and email it to hello@motherhoodunstressed for a chance to win your own copy. Enjoy this episode with Kat and Nat. Well, hello, Kat and Nat. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having us. I'm like, I want to try and match your tone, but it's like I've never spoken this calmly before.
I'm going to try
How long
too.
do you think it will last?
Not long. Not long.
No, you have to be authentically yourselves. That's why, I love having you on the show to talk about your work. Before we get into all of that juiciness, can you give the people maybe who are living under a rock or in the far reaches of the world who haven't heard of you yet, how did you come together to start doing this work for moms?
We were two friends who'd met in high school, but we got reconnected after we were the first of all of our friends to have babies. And we thought it would be a certain way, and it wasn't that way. And we felt very lonely and very stressed and had no idea what we were doing. So we found each other through Facebook, and we had a play date that lasted. It's been 13 years now. We started hanging out. We were stay-at-home moms. We kept having babies. We had 7 babies, but we said, a lot of people had mom blogs, and we're doing Pinterest, and we were like, we have a conversation that needs to be had that we're not seeing everywhere, which is really talking about the truth behind the way that we felt with motherhood. And we realized that if we felt this way, other people must feel this way too. So we started doing videos. From doing videos, we ended up, having a Facebook Live show. We are the authors of 2 books now, Mom Truths and Mom Secrets. We've been on tour to hundreds of cities across North America.
God, you're doing a good job.
Thank you. And we have a podcast called Kat and Nat Mom Truths Unfiltered that releases 3 days a week. And we are just sharing our journey of motherhood and trying to connect with as many moms around the world to make them feel like they are as well not alone.
Wow. Do you have anything to add to that?
Nope, I don't. She did it. That's a part I don't like to do, and she does it perfectly. So I just let that. That's always her question.
I love it. That is like a sweet elevator pitch right there. But okay, so to break all of that down, that sounds like an immense amount of work, and it is, and that's been happening over the years. At what point did you start to see, like, our coming together, this is really making a difference? This could really be something. I'm talking about at the very earliest stages.
I don't know if I don't think we ever thought that way or think that way, if that makes sense. Like, we never tried to be or make it something. Really, it was always, influencers weren't a thing when we started. That was not part of this world. We didn't set out to be influencers. Like, now it can be a job and it can be something that people want to be. And that wasn't in the realm of what existed. So I think that when we started, it was really always with the mission of bringing women together and having a conversation, and the only way we could do that was in live events, because although the community existed in social media, it wasn't there yet. And Facebook was just in the beginning stages of kind of being a community. And Instagram was really a photo artist platform. And, so we figured out live software before Facebook Live was a thing. And then everything kind of moved in a direction we had already been doing. And then social media and our worlds kind of collided in like a beautiful symphony.
Beautiful. Oh my God, amazing. I love that. A beautiful symphony. Always use that. That sounded like, I was like, wow, we're going to round it up.
A beautiful symphony.
Symphony.
Like, it's like we were already doing what didn't exist.
So
and
weird.
Then it became mainstream, and we had already had so much experience. We were doing a live streaming before live streaming was a thing.
That's huge.
We were getting software from Germany, and it was because of a lot of no's that we thought, why can't we just create this on our own? Because we would do a few TV shows, but like we couldn't get our message out because we were always on a little bit side of the naughty. We weren't the cookie cutter moms, and that's what everyone was looking for at the time. And that wasn't us. We said, fuck it, let's do it. Let's do it ourselves. And I feel like literally the beautiful symphony.
Yeah, no, it's crazy too, because it's like, when we started, we realized that what we were talking about, people wanted. We started with live events in Toronto with moms that lived in the neighborhood. But then we were like, there was people in other cities that said, I want to come to one of those events. So we're like, let's live stream, like Kat said. And we would bring in some bloggers and they would, write about their experience. But when we look at the views after a night of like doing this whole live thing, there's barely anybody watching. Mm-hmm. But it didn't matter. We continued to do it because we were like, we know that we want to talk about this. The couple people in the room want to hear it. And those maybe couple hundred people who were watching, if that, the comments were like, it was so needed. So we were like, we don't care. We're not making any money. Yeah. Let's just do this because it's fun and it's important. It's important to moms.
I don't know what kept us going. We just did. It's crazy.
We had nothing else.
When you think about it.
It was the only escape from like our children every single minute of our lives. It was something we could do for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to get that community feedback, even though at the time it was a small community, to know that you were touching these women and providing like a safe space, as much as overused as that term is, a safe space to come and be honest and to be seen and heard and talk about real issues of motherhood. Because you're right. Like that was probably for me, the biggest impetus for starting this podcast and my blog, back in 2012 was when my son was born, because I was like, whoa, this is nothing what I thought it was going to be, and I had read all the books and done all the prep and, thought I was going to be fine. And it was just so different. And I think that that's the case for almost every single mom out there. It's so different than what your expectations are. And so to have a resource like that, just to have a community like that, even though it's spread all over the world, I think is so important. And the fact that, you weren't getting paid and there wasn't anything like it is a big indication of the heart behind the brand. And I just think that that's really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's fast forward a little bit. You're kind of grinding now. The community is building. You're having more fun. You've already published one book, and now you are out as of March 29th with Mom Secrets, Coffee-Fueled Confessions from the Mom Trenches. How did you come up with that name?
Oh my gosh.
It was going to be wine, but then we felt like the culture of wine is so intense right now, and so we thought like we'll do coffee, so it's not like we can just have this conversation. And really, the confessions, I think confessions is really an overused word. I think it's really thoughts that we all have in our head that we think that we're doing so alone and isolated. And when we talk about what we're all thinking, which is kind of what everyone tells us, like, how are you in my head right now?
Yeah.
I feel like you normalize something that can be so dark and scary because you think you're alone, or, we're in a different phase of parenting right now. And let me tell you, it is like tween and teenhood is wild, and you can't talk about it anymore because it's not your story. So when we are going through these, parenting woes, the book is reflecting back from like when we were their age, what we were doing, and then like to this day parenting in this age of when you have a kid that's 11 or 12, you remember being 11 or 12.
You do.
Sure.
You remember it so clearly.
Grade 7, like, the younger years, you don't remember as much.
No.
But when you can feel like grade 7 and 8 was almost yesterday in a really weird way, it is mind-blowing as a parent to realize everything is the exact same as it was for you. It's just on social media now. Like they're doing all the bad things that we all did. And I think just Nat and I opening and sharing our experiences of that age, and then going through parenting, like what our parents probably went through but never talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, again, it's because it's like these taboo topics, because somehow if your kid's doing something that isn't 100% perfect, you're a bad mom, or you've done something wrong, or, it used to be when your kid had a tantrum and everyone stared at you. Well, now your kid is like making out and vaping, and everyone knows it's your kid, and you're like, oh my God, so...
You only ever used to hear stories of mothers sharing the bragging of their children, and then everything else was a secret, right? So we found that in motherhood, there are so many secrets, but if we as a community keep these secrets, and obviously we're not talking about our children, but we're talking about our experience as mothers.
And us when we were younger.
And the truth, because we can, because it's our story to tell. When you say it out loud, everything is just, it's so important, because it makes the people out there realize that their dirty little secret is not so bad, and it's very common, and it always is. Even if you think that no other parents are talking, and your group of friends have no kids who would ever do anything like that. Well, if everyone starts chatting and we lean on each other as a community, as mothers, and share these secrets and confessions, then we're only going to be better, stronger, and have a better social support system around us.
And I feel like a lot of people said a lot of people in podcasts have said we've kind of opened the door for other people to, like, we've been doing it for a while, for 13 years now. And I feel like this book, again, pushes the envelope of, we're very brutally honest and open. And are there stories in there we would want our kids to read? Like, no, we go to places that most parents would be mortified to talk about. I mean, we talk about like drugs. We talk about like,
sex, drugs, like breaking the rules.
Yeah, everything. And I feel like a lot of parents would be like, I would never, like, that would be a secret I will keep for life. But I feel like when we open the doors up, it normalizes kind of the gong show we all live, trying to make it look beautiful, even though, probably for our mother-in-laws, like, that whole notion of trying to make things look great for everybody else so they feel comfortable in life, when we're just about busting the myths.
Oh, I love that line. That's so true. It's like we work our butts off to present this facade. You've got Instagram with the picture perfect, aesthetic. And even now, I feel like that's kind of falling away, especially after COVID. Do you feel like this book coming out now is perfect timing? Because I know it probably took, a year, maybe 2 years to plan and write and do everything in advance. Yeah. By the time it comes out, sometimes it's stale. Like, do you feel like this coming out now is actually perfect? Because a lot of facades, a lot of walls have been broken down after COVID.
100%.
I feel like also the opposite. I feel like a lot of people are in a pressure cooker. Like you can feel the tension and the pressure. And, I feel like this book is your deep breath. Like it's like your sigh of relief. Like I think so many of us are exhausted still. Like, we're just like, the bar is so low right now in terms of what we have capacity to do. Like everyone's just kind of like, I guess I'll throw a birthday party. I don't want like just the exhaustion of, holidays and celebrations feel hard for a lot of people. I feel like, even though we want to celebrate them, hard on tour right now, just the energy of the women just being like, fuck it. Like, it's just this, and I feel like this book is your anthem of it's your breath. It's like you're allowed to breathe, like breathe.
And you're exactly right, though. It's like the things that we used to think were so important to hide, we realize now are so not. And we know that this pandemic, what it has done to mothers more than anybody. And so to have a book that you can read and be like, oh my, yes. Like,
I'm like, show me a perfect person. Show me a perfect person. There isn't a perfect person. And show me someone without, a past brings like some of the most unique people with the most open minds, like I just think that, our podcast also dives into, we have just started over the past few months, Sex Fridays, which is basically, and married sex, and basically this conversation, because so much of what's out in the world is like single people and their sexcapades and married sex is like a taboo topic. It's like no one talks about it, because if you talk about it,
then you're talking about your partner
and you have problems or you don't, or that's weird. So we have an anonymous Friday sex podcast, and I feel like the conversations that are being had in that podcast, because we share what everyone else is saying, I feel like for so many people, it's helping them and liberating them to have these conversations or share. Again, it's like a conversation that's not being had. And I feel like that's our whole book. It's not all about sex, but conversations that aren't being had in a place that you can have with us. It's like you're sitting with your girlfriends having the conversation that you can't necessarily have with anyone in your life. And that's really what the book is. And that's really what our whole platform is. It's just basically like you're with two girlfriends and we're here to be with all of you. And I feel like that's a big differentiation point of us, is we're with you. You're not watching us.
Yep.
Yeah. As common as a lot of these themes are, like mom guilt and body image and talking to your kids about sex, was there anything that came through when you were collecting stories that actually surprised you and you were like, oh my gosh, we got to have this in, because this isn't as typical as what you would, expect to see?
I think it took us a long time to write it. The first one was a lot easier. This one was harder just because we had to filter through a lot of what we really wanted to get across, but also we had to say, are we going to say these things? Like, are we going to put this out there? And we had to sort of like self-reflect and say, the stories of the journey of where we've come from and who we are now. We are who we are because of that stuff, and not one experience we should ever be ashamed of, because if we didn't go through that, we wouldn't be where we are. And where we are right now, I think Kat and I have, we're successful, happy mothers of the children that we've always wanted, and we're living our life with truth. And so to hide any of these stories would be dishonest, and everyone's got them. And so I think what we really realized was, let's just put it all out there. Let's tell the things. They're funny.
And they're God, real. The core of us is like, our whole community is, to be like our hard line is like to never be mean, to never make fun of, like, we're not, our shows and everything is never to make fun of. We don't really talk about our children in a way that's like, we don't talk about them. It's about our experience as mothers. It's not about them as people. And I think that's sort of also unique in itself, is that, we love being moms. And this book is not about not loving being a mom. Is motherhood hard and confusing and like tricky? And, when you have 12 and 13 and 14 and 15-year-olds, and you can literally be like, oh my God, like, frustrated beyond, because you're not getting hugs like you are with toddlers, and you're not getting, the unconditional love. Like, they may not touch you for months. Like there is no physical contact sometimes because of this. You're not getting what you used to get.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And your threats don't really they don't fall on them. You're like, fine.
Yeah, and they call their
what
friends are more important than you, and you're like annoying. Like that's hard as a mom, but that's not them. That's us, So I really do think we are really trying to celebrate and find joy in motherhood. Yeah. Not just, this book is not, this is not a depressing read. This is not a read that is meant to make you feel bad. It's meant to make you feel good and happy and joyful. And I think light in a way that serious but light. And that's really what our whole vibe is over here. Is
always
motherhood's not like, oh my God. It's like, oh my God, but oh my God.
It's a mix of laughing at it, but understanding what's important, but also understanding that you can have joy in motherhood, and that a lot of what happens is really funny. You could cry and just really wallow in it, and some things are really hard. But if you can find the comedy in it, just the comedy in life. It's like Seinfeld. That show was so funny because they pointed out things that you just never really thought about. And that's what we like to do in motherhood too. They're like, and it makes the mom go, oh my gosh, I never thought about it like that. That's really actually funny when you break it down.
And that shift right there is everything. Besides feeling like, oh, I'm a terrible mom, I don't have my shit together, versus, oh my God, we're all going through it. We're all dealing with this, and that's okay. It's that resiliency factor, I think, that you're giving yourselves and all these other mothers who are contributing and commenting and finding each other through your work. Have you noticed, your kids who've been watching this as they've grown up, watching you do this work, watching you laugh and collaborate and go on tour and all these things, have they said anything to you, or just by your own modeling, your own examples of, we're going to get through this life and we're going to have a good time doing it? Have they, because, obviously kids watch everything that we do way more than what we say. Have they said anything or demonstrated anything based on what you're doing? And has that made you proud of what you're doing and what you've done?
I was going to tell you about this weekend. I think there's a lot of teachable moments in what we do. And I think they're probably not able to be proud yet because they don't have the perspective to see kind of the impact. Because right now they see it from their minds that we come, it's a different perspective. But my son this weekend said to me, basically something about me always leaving or not being there. And it was a conversation. And I said, I hope that when you grow up and you have a partner in your life, you're proud of them if they have a job and they have to travel. And I hope you say, go and have the best time. I've got this. And I say, and I hope if you grow up and you have to travel for work because your dream is to be a hockey player and you'll have to travel a lot, she or he looks at you and says, I got this. I hope you have the best time. And you go and go kill it and have the best time.
And side note, because we've lived on the other side, if it works out that you or your partner stay home, make sure that you take the time to appreciate what they're doing at home for the family.
Yeah.
So I feel like then he was like, are you talking about the way I say something to you? I go, nope, I'm not. I'm just saying my wish for you is that you're able to be really proud of what that person does and they're really proud of what you do. I know he took that in and listened. So I think, there's teachable moments because we do travel a lot. And a lot of moms are like, oh my God, how do you leave for 10 days or 9 days or,
And we would have, for the first 10 years of motherhood, you would have told us that we would have left for more than 2 nights. We would have been like, not possible.
Never.
Never.
And what I know is my kids have a different relationship with their dad now. And it's stronger than ever. I know I can leave the house without notes a million miles long. I know there's a community of moms who have our back, who drop off and pick up so we can go live a dream. And they just do it because they're proud of us. Yeah. So I feel like it's what this is doing is teaching them, this is not always easy. This is a lot of work. Yes, we have a lot of fun. I think they know that we have fun and that's all we can wish for. If they think our job is fun, I mean, is there anything more beautiful than looking at grown-ups having fun?
And that's another thing is I think when they look back, they're not going to be like, my mom was always mad and stressed and it seemed like she didn't like being a mom. We have so much fun with our kids. Yeah. We go away, we take them away and we all live in the same house together. And there are family dinners, we all sit around the table. We have dance parties. We stay up too late. We do things all as a family and show that you can have family. You can have fun with your parents if your parents are willing to have fun with you.
They never leave us alone. They're always with us. Like they are always in our space, which, I mean, they're teenagers and they still want to be in our space. Sometimes we're like, don't y'all want to go do something bad? Like you want to be with, it's hilarious. But I get it. Like
I would want to be around us too. I mean,
we just try to, yeah. If we give the gift of growing up looking fun, that would be.
And showing that you can have a job that you like, that you like to go. My daughter, I just had parent teacher interviews, was backstage. I had a towel in my hair and my daughter was like, my teacher said you had a towel in your hair for parent teacher interviews. Why'd you do that? I go, because I was backstage and I just had a shower. It's fine. And I'm like, don't worry about it. She's like, oh, okay. And one of her teachers said that there's one of the classes that she actually has joy and interest in and asks questions. And he told her, and this is what we always say, there's a hint right there. This is a topic of something you could actually do with your life. It wasn't math because what can you do with math? I don't know. You can be an accountant.
Engineering.
Okay, engineering. But it's something that you like. Take these classes because this is something you enjoy. And I told Taylor that he said that, and I really appreciate that from a teacher because to find that thing that makes you happy, that you could actually have a job and spend the rest of your life doing. When you're young, you do have a choice of the path that you're going to take, and you have to listen to those whispers of things that bring you joy and that you're naturally good at. You don't have to memorize it because you were interested in it.
Yeah. That piece of advice to a child, a person who's about to, go off to college to choose a career, a major that's going to determine what kind of job they get. I feel like that is everything. That is everything because, how many kids, like they say that attorneys have the highest rates of alcoholism of any profession. And how many kids do we know who went to become attorneys because they didn't know what else to do? They were smart, capable, whatever, great at school, but they didn't listen to those whispers within and adults too. And I honestly believe because I had a traditional career for like 10 or 12 years before I started doing this. It wasn't until I started to make that little shift and how I wished that I would have listened, earlier on. So to have this conversation now, to all the women listening to this all over the world, to share that with your child, to really look at what they're good at, what they're interested in, I think changes the trajectory of their lives and brings in so much more happiness. And really, if we're worried about productivity and them like surviving life, would make them that much more successful in life.
Yes.
Oh, and also tell them school's an experiment and it's their experiment because you can't be good at everything. And if you're liking something, that is your clue. And I think if you take the pressure off the kid to perform and let them look from the lens of like experience what you like because you'll be good at it. And that's a natural clue. And we've always taught our kids, you will not be good at everything. And I don't expect you to be good at everything. And that's not what we're going for over here. But this is your time to get your feet wet and look at what you might like.
And as a parent, you have to set aside what you think will bring them success, because sometimes they might really have a passion for music and you're like, well, how are they going to make a career of that? If they love it enough, they'll find where the path is. Or if it's drama, like, and the kids really like that, it's like pursue that, like get them into acting classes. Maybe they want to be an actor. Maybe they want to be on Broadway, whatever that thing is, like really help them, grow that individual.
And they may not get a career about it, but they might be, off the streets on the weekend because they're doing something that they love in the class.
Oh, exactly, exactly.
Isn't it all about keeping them like
them
out
busy,
of jail?
Yeah.
Out of addiction and out of pregnancy until they're over 21,
Right. And doing those things that feed their soul. I mean, they're going to find their path. And even if they do take a ton of acting classes, like who knows, they could be the best salesman, best, sales trainer in the world because they've had that experience. Like we never know. We just need to support. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are getting towards the end of time. Do you guys have anything wish that you could talk about? I know that's a really broad question, but sometimes, things come to you in the moment from source, from your higher selves. Do you have anything you'd like to share with the audience as we close out?
I just think that what I have learned in motherhood, something that I didn't know before I became a mom, is how important it is to have a mom community, whether it's a friend in real life, whether it's a friend online, or it's some sort of a community, it's so important to communicate with other women who are going through what you're going through. And I promise I did not think that was important until Kat and I got together, and then we created this community, and how supportive. And don't feel stupid if you feel like someone you're following on Instagram, you feel like they're your best friend. That's exactly what they're there for. If they're sharing their story, they're there to be your friend. And also, what we've realized more than ever recently is take the time to go out and do something for yourself. When we go on tour and these women put their clothes on and come out to our show and let loose and have a good time, how it can fill your bucket, make you feel alive, remember that you're a woman and not just a mother, it's like therapy. It is important and it's necessary. And if you have no one to go with, go by yourself. Tons of people come to our show all by themselves, or call up a friend you haven't seen in a while. Connect with a mom at a school and say, "Hey, I'm going to this thing," or I want to go out. Even if it's a movie, it's a comedy show, something that makes you feel good, something that you like. Go out and find yourself again, because these past few years have really, they've really taken it from us and drained us, and it's time for us to find ourselves again.
I love that. Kat?
Oh, she usually speaks first. I will say, in terms of
I'm not letting you off that easy. I'm sorry.
No, I do think that in terms of, a lot of people say they're trying to find their person. I think you really have to leave your ego at the door. And if you say hi to people, like smile at them. And sometimes people are more shy than the other one. So don't be afraid to continue to ask them to do something, not just once, but, be interested in, if you are interested in, a friendship, don't wait for that person to text you, text them, or ask for someone's number to get together. Or, I just think that we have to be less, thinky and more you just smile. And I think that there's a lot of women who are waiting for someone to say hi. And if we're all waiting to say hi, no one's going to say hi. So
100%.
Sometimes a hi can and a hi and a text, because everyone's waiting for someone else to do it. So you can be the one to do it, even though it's really uncomfortable. It's not going to lead anywhere if everyone's just waiting.
I know it's your podcast, but can I ask you 2 questions?
Of course.
They're just random. Where do you live?
Atlanta, Georgia.
And are you a model?
I have done a little bit, but not. I wouldn't call myself a model.
You're so pretty. It's crazy.
Oh, you're so sweet. Y'all can come back anytime.
Okay.
Calm and pretty.
We definitely want to come to Georgia again.
Yeah, we want to come there.
Yeah, there's a need all over the country, all over the world for what you guys do. But I think especially in Atlanta, there's a lot of, moms looking for that, because a lot of people move here, from other states, work opportunities, whatever, the movie industry.
We're coming. I'll just let you know it's not a PG show.
We don't want that.
Okay, good. We cuss. Yep.
Okay, so tell us where you guys are going to be. So the listener, if that's in the area or you just want to take a road trip with your girlfriends, where can they find you guys on tour?
So actually, the dates that we have coming up in June are in Baltimore, Atlantic City, because when you can't go to Vegas, you go to Atlantic City. And then also Niagara on the Canada side. We're doing 2 shows, which is actually also a fundraiser for breast cancer.
Yes.
It's going to be fabulous. And then right after the Niagara show, and these are all the first 2 weeks of June, we're going to be releasing all the dates coming up for the fall. So guys, don't just say, we should go sometime. That's right. Get out, go buy a ticket, take a road trip, and then hopefully someday soon we will come to Georgia.
We will. Let's call right now.
Yes,
get on the
please.
bus.
Kent, Georgia it is.
I love it. Okay, so where can the listener find you guys online and get all the juicy tour dates?
Absolutely everywhere on social media at CATANDNAT. That's Cat and Nat. That's TikTok. And if you're not on TikTok, get on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, our podcast. You can just look up Cat and Nat. We release 3 podcasts a week. Remember, the Friday one is sex if you're looking for something juicy, but make sure that you have some AirPods on, because that's not for children's consumption.
I love it. Kat and Nat, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedules to come and speak with my audience. The book is Mom Secrets, Coffee-Fueled Confessions from the Mom Trenches, and it's available everywhere, I'm sure. Guys, thank you so much. It was refreshing and invigorating to speak to you.
Thank you so much for having us. We can't wait to come to Georgia and meet you in person.
You have been listening to the Motherhood Unstressed podcast. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast.